my darling. Tell me about biodecoding. What is biodecoding to the uninitiated? Because I'm pretty well initiated in this craziness because I've been there with you, experiencing it myself through you. But even I'm still struggling sometimes. So think about if you're talking to a normie, a person who's fully vaxxed and fully believes the government and refuses to deny that the TV's all mainstream lies, and like, how do you convince someone like that, or do you?
Well, for me, I first started to realise that pain was a lot deeper than just a sore shoulder or sore arm whenever I started doing physiotherapy, because you can see the like emotional trauma in people. And even working in West Belfast, doing physio work in West Belfast, I can see it in a lot of middle-aged men. Sometimes when you treat them, you can see the emotion wanting to come out, with certain parts.
I'm a middle-aged man. I'm in West Belfast. What are you trying to say here?
I've done work on you.
You're saying, I agree 100%. West Belfast is one of the most traumatised. And before to interrupt you, I think it's with West Belfast, because I'm out of it now 7 years. When you're in the woods, you can't see it for the trees, you know what I mean? And I think a lot of people, because it's normal, and they just accept everyone around them is of a similar traumatic experience in some way, shape or form, that it just becomes your acceptance of what is.
Yeah, but it's just kind of what you've grown up knowing, and that's your internal programs as well. You only know what you're used to. But I really do feel, I can actually feel the trauma in the air whenever I go into West Belfast. And I actually just spent one evening just driving around and just driving down past all the peace walls and just really soaking in, that you can feel it.
In fairness, it's not limited to West Belfast.
No,
it's East
it's
Belfast, it's North Belfast.
It's everywhere, yeah.
It's just...
No, I just happen to mention because I am currently working in Andytown in Belfast, and I just notice in a lot of men, because women can express emotion, but men really, really don't express emotion. And I just noticed from treating parts of the body, you'd be talking to a man after, and you can nearly see that breaking in the voice and the tears coming to the eyes, and it's just because you've worked on a certain body part that's actually holding that emotional trauma in it, and it's moved something in them, but they're holding on so tightly to it that they just won't let it go. And I always say to them, like, I can see that there's emotion moving in you here, and if you leave here and just need to drive off in your car somewhere and just cry, because it's just that expressing is really healing.
I see, this is my experience of it. It's impossible, literally I'd say impossible, for 90% of men from those working class areas who've experienced the troubles to go from shoulder injury to crying their eyes out.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Well, that's where the emotional biodecoding can come in, because it's actually a way of using your symptom to identify what the trauma is. So each symptom in the body presents because of a specific trauma. So and it's biological and how the body presents the symptom. So there's a lot of work and a lot of research being done into why the body is presenting things in certain ways. And it's really actually deeply scientific as to why the body's expressing things in certain ways. But yeah, if you can identify the trauma, then you can also release the trauma. So it's delving into those emotions that have been trapped so far down in the body that you don't really even know that they're there, that it's so unconscious. And they're just running your everyday life. You're living your life. You're creating a reality because of unhealed trauma. So, for example, in my life, my dad left me whenever I was 3, and only recently I've realised that every relationship I ever had until you I ended it before it got to 3 years, because...
Let's be fucking honest here.
Yeah.
If I wasn't such a stubborn asshole and I didn't love you as much as I love you, you would have ended it with me multiple times.
Yeah. But that was a deep-rooted trauma where the man in my life had left me and abandoned me, and rather than that happening for my subconscious, again, my subconscious was trying to protect me, so I was triggered by everything in a relationship, and it was always these like warning signs, like this is happening, get out of this now before you're abandoned again, you know.
We did go through some hard times, like
Yeah.
with this especially. I think from October right up until even last month.
Even a week before. Yeah, it's definitely. Yeah.
Since your womb cleanse, you've changed
Have I?
massively.
Really?
And I can feel it and I can see it, and we're back to being the way we were.
Yeah.
I can see that and I can feel it. It's amazing, but it's been hard. It's been hard for me.
I know.
It's been hard for me for the last couple of months because but I also, maybe that's why we're together, because.
But then that's also the job of the divine masculine, but it's because you're on your own healing journey that you're able to hold that space for me to be able to release what I need to release as well. And it's horrific. It's really hard to come through all that trauma and emotional pain and to express it. But then it's only by expressing it you begin to kind of understand it, and then you begin to be able to heal it. But
I'll be honest, like I'm still not ready to talk publicly about in here that night. But even that, the trauma you're talking about, it's the hips. Even though my hips don't exist anymore, there must be residual energy in there, because that second release, that was the most unconscious. For me, I'm teasing him. But you know, I don't know if I'll ever talk about that, to be honest, publicly.
It would be a really hard thing for people to be able to grasp, because it's just so deep, you know. Even for us to be able to understand it was really.
I was 5 days mourning.
Yeah.
Like properly mourning. Like I remember going into the next day, because you were only going to give me a massage on my hip. This was not meant to take place.
Well, it all kind of happened because I was meditating just before, and then I come up with an idea to help my granddad kind of release some emotional trauma in him, and it was in a way of moving the body into the places you don't want to move the body, and see what emotions come out of that. So that's how I ended up trying that on you that night. But it was that being able to let go of control, you know.
Funny even talking about it, I'm still getting emotional. Like
It was massive. Like I've never experienced anything like that.
I still miss him.
Yeah.
Sometimes I still go, God damn it, where is he? I know it sounds crazy for people.
But I think you've still a good bit of work to do.
Fucking right, but I tell you what, do you know something? I think that was so insane and so emotional, and is the word transformative right? I don't know, but the pain, the identity crisis that I experienced afterward, it was like literally an existential crisis. Who the fuck am I? I remember asking me, do I love you, or was it him that loved you?
Yeah.
Do you know, am I schizophrenic?
Yeah.
And I still wonder, was I schizophrenic? I still to this day go.
Schizophrenia, again, it's another program that can be decoded. It's a symptom that your body's presenting, you know. But I believe yours was a lot deeper than that, you know.
Whatever it was the most. I'll cry. It was so. Like 45 years, I thought I was talking to. I knew I wasn't talking to me. I've always said to everyone, no, there's someone in my head. I know it was a different voice, and he answered me questions differently. He answered me with answers that I didn't think of.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I didn't think those in my head. It was like another voice. It was like you and I talking.
Yeah.
Only it was in my head. And I know it sounds mad, and people are going, what? But like you seen what happened.
Yeah.
And I love that saying, you know, the schizophrenic swims in the river, the shaman swims in the river, the schizophrenic drowns.
Yeah.
And that really resonated with me, that sort of thing, because I went off on a tangent there, but the biodecoding, what is biodecoding?
So basically, biodecoding is a way to delve into your unconscious programs that you're carrying, and you use the symptom.
Sorry, let's go like P1 level. Unconscious programs, already you're scaring people. What's an unconscious program?
So, for instance, I have a money program where I have a real fear of having money, you know, and it's not that I don't want to have money, it's just there's something deep within me that has a fear. Like if I'm running a business, I don't like charging people money, you know. I would rather. But
would that not be a lot of people?
But yeah, so a lot of people will have this program running in them, but what it is so, and it's an ancestral program. It comes down through your ancestry, you know.
People are going to think that's nuts, but there's now scientific evidence to show like trauma is passed down to your DNA 12 generations or something.
7, I think it is.
7 is
it's anything that's not expressed is held in your body. So anything that you don't express yourself will be held in your body, and then it's transferred into the next generation of people because it hasn't been expressed by you. It's still held in there within the DNA or within, you know, it's held in the body. So these traumas get passed down through our generation, and because our ancestors had such a hard time even just surviving, they weren't able to work on all of this trauma. So it's now our generation that has come to that are able to delve in and heal these programs. So for my unconscious, and I'm working on my money program at the minute with one of the other biodecoders, but there's going to be a story in my ancestry where it's been dangerous for someone to have money. Either they've been killed because of money or something along those lines. You know, it's been really dangerous to have money. So for my subconscious to keep me safe, it's like, no, don't get money, keep money away. And that's what I'm unconsciously doing. Even though I really want money, my unconscious is making this happen in my life.
So does that mean, because I'm actually asking because I don't know, does that mean even if you're consciously aware of the money program, because you're not consciously aware of what the problem is, it's still an unconscious program that has to play out until you make that bit conscious?
It's until the emotion has been expressed. So you need to get deep down into what emotion is being held in the body that needs, whether it's so what happens with decoding is that you actually travel into the unconscious and you use these planes of consciousness.
Damn it. You're jumping balls deep into here, something that people that are like, even I struggle with this.
Yeah.
Now, you know, I do struggle. This is what I go, and sorry, but I get it. I totally get what you're saying. And I understand the plane above, it's like time, past, present, and future. But a lot of people don't. How do you tell someone that the reason why they've had shit relationships all their life is because their great-great-great-grandmother had a bad relationship and it's been, you know, how do you get a normal person to actually comprehend that, or do you?
Well, it's only when someone gets really, really sick of these repeated patterns and really wants to do something about it that they're willing to actually delve into what if it is all true? Why not give it a go? What's it going to do to harm you? But I've just had so much experience now of seeing people's lives dramatically change, from seeing instant results of people expressing an emotion and their symptom clears up instantly, you know. And it's not even about clearing up symptoms. Your symptom is what brings you to this emotional healing that's guiding your life, you know.
The symptom isn't a problem, is it? The symptom's actually just your body's way of saying, hey, listen, we need to look at this.
Yeah, your symptom, because you're not listening to your body, it's trying to talk to you in any way possible. So it's like these symptoms are coming through because maybe you're going to listen, you know.
It's only when you go down this route do you start realising that when people, like, who was it, David Icke, crazy man, he says we're spirits having a human experience.
Yeah.
Then you start, when you can get your head, and I'm getting my head wrapped around, I know I've got my head wrapped around that, we are spirits having human, and I'm 100% one, I don't care how crazy I sound, we have been together in past lives, absolutely no fucking doubt in my head, because the shit that we have been through and the things that we know about each other, and it's too insane. Like the first time I met you, I said to Gareth Malloy, I'm going to marry that girl.
But it's deeper. It's like an energetic level, you know. It's like you can't even explain it in words. It's
Factor hats. Also handy, like, you know, I don't know if I'd have said that if you had been like some 75 stone heifer, like, but fact you're good looking.
Yeah, and biodecoding, like, what it says is that we're part of so there's a consciousness, and that's what God is. It's this consciousness that created everything that's here. We're all part of it. So we're like a fractal of the consciousness that chooses to come here. And we have to travel down these planes of consciousness to get here.
9 planes?
There's 9 planes of consciousness. So when you're coming down through those planes of consciousness, you actually choose your programs of what you're going to deal with when you come here. And you also choose your parents, you choose your name, you choose everything, you choose where you're going to live. Everything you choose. Whenever you come here, you don't remember any of that.
So we have our ancestral programs that we have to, that it's our life's journey to heal. Is that right?
Yeah, so that's the reason why we came here.
So you and I have, and every adult in the world has messed their children up through not healing our own programs and passing our traumas
I
on
wouldn't
to them.
even say mess it up because they also chose.
That's my next question. It's like, so before we come here, did we know we were going to take our parents' programs on, or is that part of the infinite field where like past, present, and future happens and there's multiple options? This is where I'm getting confused. This is where I always go like, I know I'm deep in this, but I always wonder that. It's like, do our children pick this story up knowing they're going to pick going to pick up our shit, or is it our job to heal our shit so we don't pass it on to our children?
Well, whenever you think of it on a deeper level, we're actually all just fractals of the great being, and we're all just here experiencing life as a spirit, and we're just clearing up all this stagnant energy that has travelled through all these generations of people. And that's why we're here, to kind of heal all the generational trauma and create a better world for people to live in, you know.
It's funny, like, because I put up the wee clip we were talking about, you know, finding the community. I put that up back there on today about the importance of, and funny, like, my focus on Primal is not about money. It's about, I want the community, knowing that the income will happen because of the community, and it's building that relationship. In fact, I hate talking about money to friends because I'd rather let's just put that aside and talk about the connection we can have. And I find that, so I'm always about community as well. But that healing community, I think that is why society is so broken. Because look at even what happened with COVID. They separated everyone 6 foot apart, stay isolated. It's literally the most unnatural thing you can do. Put a mask over so we can't communicate, we can't see facial expressions, we can't smile. Our children's IQ have dropped by 2 points or something, or 3 points, something, because of they've grown up with people wearing masks. They can't read like, everything seems to be in this world. When you go balls deep into it, it goes back to the spiritual,
but there's a huge
ritualistic things.
Agenda trying to keep us away from what we truly are as human beings. Like, we are so much.
I didn't call them humans, or men and women.
Men and women. We're so much deeper and so much more powerful than what we're led to believe, and it's all about energy. We're frequency and we're energy, and everything that's happening around us in this world. Like, our food is toxic, the water in our taps is toxic, and it's all
the air we breathe.
The TV signals, the Wi-Fi signals, everything affects the frequency in our body, and it's all pulling us down, you know. So the further we're pulled down, it's like it affects our ability to be able to actually truly understand who we really are, and we're living in really low vibrational energies, like the fear that's just constantly projected onto us everywhere, and when you're living in the low vibrations, you can't actually see, you don't understand anything higher than that because that's all you know. But once you start doing this wee bit of healing work and you connect in with a community of people that are also doing the same thing, and you're away from all of the bullshit, and you're eating good food, and you're in nature, you start to actually feel that difference in consciousness. You know, you come up out of the fear and you feel that pure love and connection with people, and that's what we are all about. I
find it really hilarious that, you know, the normies, as I keep on calling them, just for an easy way of explanation, but they go up to Honoured with a group of friends. They come down and they're like, oh, I feel amazing. And they never attribute that to the fact that you've been in nature, you've been away from technology, you're removed so far from the stress of the world. Your hands are touching rocks and grass, and you're electrical beings, and we're connecting with the energy of the earth, and but we can't see that. We're electrical beings ourselves, and we're connecting. No, touch, you know. That's human nature. And then you wonder why you feel great. It's because you're doing what ancestrally we've done for eons.
What your body is actually designed to do. You know, we are nature, we're part of it. We're supposed to be in amongst it. Like, even the houses we live in. I think
we're above it. I think the society thinks we're above nature.
No, I know.
Look, even lawns, you love that, don't you? The lawns, like, that's the biggest psyop there is in the world. Let's make the garden a place where we don't grow vegetables.
But lawns are just toxic. You know, people are putting weed killer, you know, and weeds are our most medicinal plant. Anything that thrives in the same energetic kind of energy that we're in is so good for our body. And just even dandelions, nettles, they're the most, like, they're superfoods. They're so powerful.
That's the next topic. Don't worry, I know you're into this shit. But let's bring it back, because with two of us just go on tangents. Biodecoding. So the energetic field, we're all part of the past, present, future, all happening in the fourth dimension at once.
Yeah, so in this level of consciousness, time exists, but really time doesn't exist. This is a man-made construct that we've put upon ourselves, or whoever's put it upon us. But when you start tapping into these other levels of consciousness, time doesn't exist anymore. So past, present, future.
I told this to Sai the other day, sorry, but the perfect way of explaining why time's man-made and how we can understand time's man-made. I said to Sai yesterday, sweetheart, it was Saturday. And I was like, this time yesterday, it was 6:15. But today it's 7:15, even though it's the exact same time. The sun went down an hour later, even though technically it only went down about 4 seconds later than it did yesterday. But because we've decided the dial on the clock means something, so we're in control of time. We just literally manifest what time we want. We could decide it's 10 o'clock now. It's just a man. That dawned on me. It's like, fuck, where's a man-made construct that proves that we just make up our own time?
Yeah, but even how the calendar has been changed, and no one really understands that. But really, we should be following the cycles of the moon. There should be 13 months of equal
13 months
of equal 28 days per month.
Just one day of rest.
Yeah. But there's just so much to us that we don't understand anymore, because when they started opening schools, they started teaching us all this stuff that was totally irrelevant to who we are, and really guiding us away from ourselves as natural beings on this planet.
Isn't it crazy so many people don't question why children aren't taught how to grow vegetables, how to start fires,
But that's only because
how to build shelters?
That's what they've been programmed. See, up until the age of 7, your mind is a sponge, and whatever you take in, you believe, and that's it.
That's the
you
theta
believe
brainwave.
that's the truth.
Theta brainwave.
So that's why religions, everything, get you in at that young age to really implant everything in your mind that they want you to believe throughout your life. So it's really hard to shift out of that, once it's really implanted deep in your mind. But
that's the Biodecoding, I suppose, is it?
What do you mean?
Breaking that program, like like the program of Muslim, Christianity, Buddhism, whatever. The Abrahamic. Let's choose the Abrahamic religions. That's a man-made construct.
Yeah.
That's just now there's dogmatic rules that you must believe in this certain, and if you do this, this happens. With that, I'm sorry, but with the amount of psychedelics we've been under and the experience we've had, I know that's a lie. I don't care. You can. I don't care. I do not care anymore. Bufo showed me the fractal plane that we exist in and we're connected to, and I went back to the all. Paul did not exist anymore, and Paul didn't want to come home. I remember my third time. I remember I said this, like I was with the kids. I was like, "What am I saying?" They were like, "Fuck 'em, fuck 'em." I just like fuck them. I accepted death and realised that was the moment I realised they are not mine. And I think that's the language we use. They're my children. No, they're not.
But even it's this whole trying to control everything about their lives. I want the best of them. I don't want them to have to do this. I want them to have a better life than me. But that's all you imposing you onto them, and you're not actually allowing them to be them. So it's really just trying to open up the space for them to grow into what they're supposed to be without you implanting all your fears and everything else.
And the feelings, your feelings, is that what you believe, what you see as a feeling as you're growing up. So many fathers especially want their sons to be the representation of what they couldn't be, and want to relive their what they believe is a missed lifetime through their own children.
But that's what they believe is success, and then their child's not successful if they don't achieve their idea of success.
This is going to biocoding again, bringing the biodecoding again, because we're going to go really good at this. But the names, like I'm into the Indians and fucking the Native Indians, and I love the way there's two things. There's an African tribe that the mother, when they get pregnant, they go to the hill and they sing a song, and it's their song.
So they actually believe that the baby is conceived from the moment the mother has the idea that she wants to be a mother. That's when she conceives the baby. So she'll go and she'll sit by a tree, and a song will come to her, and it's given to her, and she'll start to sing the song, and then she'll go to her husband and she'll teach him the song, and then they'll conceive the baby. They'll sing the song to the baby the whole time in the uterus, and then when the baby's born, they'll sing the song again. But
the most beautiful thing about it is when you die, your entire tribe sing that song to you.
Yeah.
How beautiful and how stupidly ignorant is Western society. And the Indians, the Native Indians couldn't, or Native people, they couldn't understand why you name your son after your father, because you're literally passing on it's like you're double now, your trauma.
But that's exactly that happens in biodecoding as well. So anyone in our family tree, you'll look back through your family tree, and anyone that has the same name as you is your double, and you'll be carrying the same programs as them. And then anyone who has the same date of birth as you, or within 10 days of your date of birth, or within 10 days of your conception date, or 10 days of their death date, you'll be their double. So you'll be carrying programs, and there'll be a story when you go back to look at your family tree that relates to...
My granddad died day after my birthday, on my dad's birthday.
Yeah, so he's your double.
I am you know what I like about my anyone knows me about my granddad knows I am my granddad in every way, shape or form. And it's ironic that even 16 years after he's dead, 15, 16 years, whatever he's dead, like, have I ever went there that I don't mention him somehow to you? No. He's just everything about me. Yeah. You know, it's and that's funny because I remember another guy came into the circle. And I just happened to say, and I just done that bit of biodecoding. And I was like, is there anyone from your family 10 days out of date? In fact, done it two friends, done it to Neil. And Neil, number 23, ended up being fucking huge in his whole life. His dog died on the same day as fucking his birthday, and his brother was born the same date, and his granddad was born the same date, and his mum was adopted the same date, and fucking they moved to England the same date. Everything was just 23. And I was like, I know society puts down coincidence, but there is no such thing as coincidence.
No, but because you are actually creating everything in your reality, whether you choose to believe it or not, you create everything, and everything that's happening to you is happening because you're creating that, you know. And this was a hard thing for me to sit with, like the things I'd suffered throughout my life. I had created because I wasn't willing to look at how much my dad had hurt me when he left me as a child, and I created men in my life that didn't do great things, you know. But
a lot of the men you created represented exactly what you didn't want in a man, which is what your dad done to you, and I've done the same.
Yeah.
I literally created like 3 or 4 of my relationships with my mum.
Yeah.
And I'd say a lot of men and women, if they look at past relationships that didn't work out, there's a lot of their mother and father aspect that they don't want to acknowledge. It's like, holy shit. And there's a lot of people say, I'm married to my mum, or I'm married to my dad.
Yeah.
We create what's comfortable. We create what needs to be expressed, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. Because until you actually look at it and heal it and express whatever needs to be expressed, your unconscious is just going to keep creating the same thing.
I didn't tell you, I just randomly kissed my mum yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Just out of the blue. I was like, I see it out, and I was like, and I was like, oh, what happened to her? And that just really blew me away. That it wasn't even a thought. Like, how many years has been that? And I was like, oh.
Brilliant.
It really thought me. I forgot to tell you that yesterday, actually, telling you live. But that was something that really, you know, the healing again, the healing, being able to move on.
And is that, you don't even, because the work is painful, like, see, even starting this course and doing the biodecoding on myself, it's been painful because you're actually delving into those really, really painful parts of yourself that you don't want to look at, and you're having to sit with that, and you're having to really, really feel it. And like last month there, just before I went down to the weekend again, I was getting to the stage where I was like, I don't know if I can do this much more, because I wasn't seeing any benefit from it. I was like, where's the healing? Where's the good stuff? It seems to be just all sitting with pain. And then at the weekend there, it was just like this major revelation and breakthrough, and I was just seeing the strength and the beauty inside myself that I never seen, you know, through years of trauma and taking all the other people's shit. I never seen myself for who I really was, and it was a huge weekend, and I just feel like that was a real tipping point. Even being able to come on here and talk, like I had real fear of being in front of a camera or exposing myself in any kind of way. So
the biodecoding, it's, there's part of me doesn't, I just don't want to, you know, it's
You're
like
so resistant.
Look, I am so resistant to it because maybe I'm just not ready to accept, you know. I struggle with this idea that everything can be biodecoded. Oh, a cracked nail, I'm like, come on, you can't. There has to be just, I don't know, timing, you know.
That time doesn't exist.
Fuck yeah, it just wrecks me. It's like, I still struggle to let go of everything. I do.
This is going into the more shamanic kind of belief where everything's spiritual, everything has a spirit, you know, everything.
So is there a difference between the shamanism? Because you're doing what are you doing?
Bio-shamanism.
Bio-shamanism. So is bio-shamanism different to biodecoding?
Well, shamanism, so biodecoding actually exists, it does exist separately. So the biodecoding part is actually called German New Medicine, and it's all very scientific, and they actually believe that just once you understand. So with biodecoding, there's laws. This Dr. Hamer, he discovered this in like the 1950s, I think it was, And what had happened to him was his son was murdered. He was shot dead, and him and his wife, like 6 weeks or something after he died, Dr. Hamer developed testicular cancer, and his wife developed breast cancer at exactly the same time. And he just found this really impossible, and they both lived really healthy lives, and he couldn't understand it. So he started researching into things, and he had access to a lot of people that had testicular cancer, breast cancer, and he started bringing them in and asking them questions. And it turns out that that anyone with testicular cancer had had some sort of loss of a child, or like a symbolic child, or a symbolic death of a child had moved away.
Okay.
And the biology, what it was trying to do was create more cells in the testicles, which was, it was trying to create
life or new.
Yeah, because he'd lost his child, it's trying to multiply cells to create the son, you know.
Yeah.
And the same with the mother. So actually, biodecoding breast cancer is about a separation from the mother and the child, and the breast is developing more cells because it's trying to create more breast for the child.
So what about someone who's testicular cancer or breast cancer who hasn't experienced that, and they're going, "You're a liar, what the fuck," you know, like. This is where I struggle as well.
There's different tissues in the body. It goes really deep. So there's different types of cancer will be expressing different types of trauma as well. But the thing is, whenever you're expressing cancer, it's usually in the healing phase. It's usually whenever the conflict in your mind has been resolved. And then, so there's 2 stages of a disease. There's conflict active, and then there's the resolution. And with a lot of the symptoms, you'll only notice them whenever they're in resolution. So it's actually starting to heal whenever all of the symptoms are happening. But because we're so programmed to believe cancer is fatal, cancer, you know, it's our conscious mind takes over and creates our reality, because we're creating everything in our reality. So with German New Medicine, they actually believe that once you just become conscious that you're in the healing phase, that your body's just going to heal itself anyway. With the shamanism part, it's actually that this comes from our ancestors, and that's where it's accessing these different planes of consciousness, is where the shamanic side.
The shamanism side of things is where I'm interested. That's sort of, I can feel that. So that's.
But again, the biodecoding is really just a tool to be able to get you there, you know, because it's all emotion, it's all energy, and it's all expression of energy.
What did you say that one was? Lost a tooth. That's the mother, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember.
I think you said that was the mother, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, conflict with mother. Was
the little toe or something, the small toe was the conflict with the sibling.
The one before it's conflict with the sibling. Yeah.
And it's small things like that. I just go, fuck off, because it's like.
Yeah, it's like, and this is the thing, because with the biodecoding, usually it's just opens a line of questioning to someone, you know, if they've got a sore shoulder and you know what the symptom represents, you can just start asking questions. Have you had any issues with this? Have you had any problems with that? And they say yes. And then you'll be able to delve in a wee bit deeper, like what's going on there. And then it's like, then you can see there's some kind of repressed emotion that hasn't been expressed. And then that guides you, because what's actually happened to you now, there's been the instances where things like that has happened to you throughout the years, and what the bio-shamanism does is your subconscious will take you back to these moments in time where you weren't able to express the emotion that you needed to express, which has now been held in your body. So it's just all about moving energy.
Yeah, it's so. Do you know what? Like I'm pretty balls deep in this shit, and I struggle with it. But that, I understand, that's also programming. It's like, you know.
I struggle too. Like sometimes I still struggle with it. That's what I even said the last month. So cause we'll go down every month and we'll share what's happened in our month. And I just had like I was just sick of the pain, and I was like, it's not getting me anywhere. And I'm like, is this even real? Am I just putting myself through all of this shit for no reason and just suffering, you know? And I had said this in front of everyone, and that's just where I was in my process, you know. And you're always going to be up and down. You're never just going to be at this level of.
I think that's where the word healing.
Yeah.
People associate that with healed.
So
we're healing.
Jo doesn't like the word healing. She'll say it's just you're becoming more conscious. You're not actually healing.
See, I think that's what it, because it's healing means you're sick.
Yeah.
That's what. And I use it because it's
people understand it.
Yeah, but I don't like
because people are in pain and they want to be out of pain, and this is the word associated with.
But I also don't like that. You know, I'm like about language, and it's like healing isn't the right.
No.
It doesn't. It conjures up a different concept of what it is. I like that idea. You're becoming more consciously aware of what is.
Yeah. And these symptoms, whenever you start becoming conscious of why your body's expressing the symptom, and then you let your body know, I understand now, your body no longer needs to express the symptom, so the symptom stops, you know.
You see, that's the other thing, is like, we've been, like, you know, we believe we live in the Matrix, you know, with the NPCs and all that stuff, non-playing characters, etc. But, like, you can see it, because how illogical is it to believe that your mind, which controls every action you do in the body, there are synapses fired to make me do that. So why would we not think that any thought that we have, like if I say to you, here, do you remember Fido? Do you remember you missed Fido, you got hit by a truck? You're down, so you could be the happiest guy, but the thought of that creates your body to go, that thought has brought your body in, and that body position then focuses your mind on what you feel, and the feeling, and you know, so it's like, if that can be, if you can prove that instantly, why would it not be the case that you can think yourself well or think yourself ill?
Yeah.
And considering the way we look in society and the fear we live in and the panic, we're living in an energetic field where it's so repressed and so held back that it's logical, biological, that we're going to get sick.
Yeah.
Because the mind is sick, because the mind is being bombarded with poison. Yeah. So if the mind's bombarded with poison, then it's going to seep into the body, and the body will be poisoned.
Yeah. So with biodecoding, they'll say that everything that happens in your body is because of some shock that happened. It's called the biological shock. It's actually called the dark Hamer syndrome, whatever he named it as. But something happened that you weren't expecting, and at that time you just didn't know how to cope with it, and it'll send off a reaction in your brain. So there's the shock, and then there's the emotion and the psyche, you know, it all kind of blends in together. And then if you don't express this and it's not resolved, then that's when it starts to come through the body into like the expression.
Yeah, you see, that makes sense to me now because of where I am on my journey, and I can relate that very easily with people. And it's actually that second song you sent me, My Healing.
Yeah.
I bless and release what does not bring me peace. This was one of the biggest aha moments I've ever had, because I realised that experiences we have as children are like the programs we pick up or the things we do as a child to keep us protected. At that moment in time, served a very important purpose. But because it served the purpose as a child, the child doesn't have the compromised thoughts to go, okay, I don't need that anymore. It's like a child screaming in the, that's why example I go, like, when you were 2, you screamed and the kid having a tantrum, and you'd walk past your parent and you go, but I was a 15-year-old wee lad. You're going to be going, because that program, while serving purpose as a 2-year-old, because the society accepts that and it's normal, at a 15-year-old level, it's not normal. And that's where it no longer serves. So you've got to recognise that served me purpose when I was this age. But at 15, I'm not going to do that because it doesn't serve me any purpose. And in fact, it's detrimental to my health. Yeah. And I use that, I try to say, like, your emotional crutch becomes the emotional anchor holding you into that place where you don't want to be. Yeah. Do you know, what we think is holding us up, and people, alcohol, tobacco, or, you know, drugs, food, sex, porn, whatever it is. Yeah,
it's just a distraction.
They're emotional crutches.
Emotions,
They're allowing you to distract yourself from having to accept.
Mindless TV, where you zone out completely. You're not even in your own head. You're just sitting receiving information, and theta brainwave is it when you're watching TV? Yeah. And that's where your mind can be programmed. It's nearly like a hypnotic state, you know.
But because they've done it so well that society accepts it as normal. Yeah. Because you're doing it, I'm doing it, and everyone else doing it, well, it's like,
and it's easy to get sucked into it.
Of course it is.
It's so much easier to sit and watch something that's mind-numbingly funny on TV, you know, rather than sit and deal with your emotional shit.
I've been refining my, you know, question and inquiry and statement thing, and what I've came up with so far, still a work in progress, is like, for every statement you make, you need to ask 7 inquiries. So I can't do that. That's a statement. That means I no longer have to explore anything. I can just sit, but I can't do that. I'll sit back on TV. But if I go, why can't I do that? Oh, because I've never done it. Why have you never done that before?
Yeah.
I've never felt nervous. Why? And it's taking that Simon Sinek's, the 7 whys. Yeah. But actually, you know, when you, and it's a plan to, you've made a statement that you've just become habitually used to saying without the inquiry as
that
to.
Excuses any other, you know.
And I think that if you don't need to do biodecoding, but that's literally like an element.
Yeah.
It's like biodecoding. You're inquiring.
Yeah.
Why is this true? Because
Yeah.
and that's where I think it's insane. Society's turning away where we can't, and that they've done that purposely, you know. But society's actually fallen for it. Hook, line, and sinker. Where we cannot question the experts.
But they've played it to a T.
Oh,
you know,
you've got to applaud them.
These are super intellectual people that, because they're way above us in the level of
And
knowledge.
spiritually, they're way above us
and they know
spiritually.
how to
They're dark arts, but they know.
Yeah, they know how to navigate these spiritual realms, and whether people want to believe it exists or not, you know, it's there. You know,
Do you want to talk about that night, or you know, is that a taboo topic?
which
With a table tilted?
no, I can talk about it. Yeah.
Because you were talking about in the clip I put up there about the vomit when you inhaled the bag
Yeah.
and you felt the dead ancestor.
Yeah. And then the table tilting came through.
table tilt came through.
So I was actually just had a client in just before we started this podcast, and we were talking about this because she has started to experience people like she lives alone, and she just can feel a presence in her house, and she really wants to avoid it because it's terrifying. And for me it was the same. Like, I always knew there was a spiritual kind of realm there, but it terrified me, so I avoided anything to do with it. But she has started noticing wee things happening, and she just switches on TV, you know, puts on really loud music, just blocks anything out from being there. And that was kind of like me as well. And unless you're really open to it, you know, you can sort of avoid it.
My grandma's house.
Yeah.
Like, I remember Rob McCulloch sitting in the house with us, and we were smoking joints or something, and they started walking up and down, and Rob goes, "What's that?" And I was like, "That's just the coast." And he looked at me and goes, "What?" And I was like, "Oh, it's up here." Like, it breathed in my neck before, and it lay on top of my mum in the same room. It lay on top of me, you know, when I was, and like, I've seen her, and I remember just breathing in my neck. That was the only time I was like, "What the fuck is going on here? This is so scary." But apart from that, it's never bothered me. But I believe the spirit realm, 100%.
Yeah. But a lot of it is our ancestors and spirit guides that are with us always, constantly. And I'm actually doing another course at the minute that is opening up that world a wee bit more to me and
My
helping
friend's big into
me
it.
to understand it. Yeah.
He's
And some
just-
people are naturally open to it from birth, you know, and it's just there's something in their brain that's automatically open to it. But it's a skill that we all have in us, and we can work on it to open it as well. But I also had my birth chart reading done, and there's certain houses whenever your son's in certain things, and it's like
funny. I put a post up about Pluto in the square and all, and Gary, my mate Gary's like, "I can't believe astrology's too far." But the astrology and astronomy thing, it's a different topic, but it's been separated to make it look like they're very good at making what was once our natural way of being woo woo.
But anything that's going to guide you to answers or open up that, you know, of course it has to be woo woo, because they can't risk anyone actually believing any of that stuff
because they need us.
Yeah, but with astrology, where the stars are, because also we could even go into the whole flat Earth and what we really living in theory, because the stars, I believe, are portals that bring energy, you know, and wherever those stars are in position whenever you're born brings this energy to you, and that's the blueprint for your life. And this is why star signs and everything are so accurate. You're like, oh my God, you know, how does that? But for me, there's one of my houses, and my friend Katrina is just amazing at doing birth reading charts, and I highly recommend her.
Fuck me.
But
she
had said that there's a couple of my houses something in the psychic field, and there's certain things that align you to be able to connect in with certain things better, and it's just an energetic thing, you know.
How many times have I said to you, I've been on more?
Yeah.
How many times, like before, how many times have I said to you,
Yeah.
I have 100% I've just, there's, and you've always said there's violence in your clan. And like, I'm always, like, even the fact that I was a professional fighter and, you know, went the route of martial arts and fighting. And
that's all stuff you're creating because
what did she say to me?
I know, you're a soldier.
You've been a soldier in many lives.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck? You're telling me something I know.
But it's nearly like, whenever you have your birth chart done, it's nearly like, it just makes you feel, fuck, that's why I am the way I am. You know, it's nearly like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like,
I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
I understand what you mean.
It's like, yeah.
I know what you mean. I can't think of the word myself, but
just edit that bit out. No,
it's all right. We'll get it right.
But yeah, it's like a reassurance, but it deeply connects.
Cathartic,
and
whatever it
connects
is.
you with the energy that you're carrying, you know, because it's all energy.
Do you think I've got a lot of friends who are really good friends and love them to bits, and they're so intelligent, book smart and practical smart, but emotionally retarded.
But this is the thing, because our brain and our intuition are two different things, and people have come to rely on their brain for everything, and it's your mind is deceptive because it's just picked up all of these programs from everywhere, and it's all this conversation and like it's all muddled. But see, your gut, your intuition,
Gut instinct.
yeah, that's where the truth is at, and it's actually, and you can actually bring your attention away from your head and into that.
So many people, listen, I don't encourage, like, you've had that moment you go, no, I'm not going to go in that house.
Yeah.
And then bang, you next know, two people
Yeah.
are fucking killed, or go to, your mates go to jail, or you're like, I knew, I just don't know why, but I just knew that. And everyone that I've ever met has experienced this on a level. But even though we've experienced that, the fear of having to acknowledge that maybe what you believe, and it's not that it's untrue, in this 3D realm of Earth where we are living this man and woman life experience, it is probably true, you know, for the realm, but we're not, we're spirits, and there's guidance, and there's messages, and there's signs that are telling us. And I think we're so closed off, and so many people are so closed off because society's being conditioned that way. But you look at, like, in Peru, you look at the shamans, they worship their ancestors.
Yeah. But it's all programming, and because people are comfortable in this zone where they can understand everything, it's that I want to know and understand it all, and that's comfortable. If everything's explained to you on a level that, yes, that all makes sense to me, I'll accept that, and I won't accept anything else.
The greatest thing I've ever had is that realization where we aren't meant to know, and that's beautiful.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty.
But that adds the magic, you know, that adds the mystery and the magic of what we really are.
Imagine you got to the end of the road and you knew everything.
Yeah.
How empty would life be? The wonder of life is it's like you don't get excited when you have the holiday. The holiday's fun, but it's the lead up to the holiday. You know, you're excited. Oh, we're going away to Australia for a year. Can't wait. And you know, it's the experience of it, not the actual. I've got the knowledge now. That doesn't matter because it's an anticlimax. Than not having the knowledge. It's the journey towards the discovery. Like, we're on this journey of discovery, self-discovery, and every time we reach a milestone, we're like, do you remember that? Oh my God.
Yeah, it's just like these wee moments of clarity come, and you're like, that's why that happened. That's why that's been happening all along. It's all because of that. And
then you can apply it to other people, and then all of a sudden, it's like fucking I see dead people. You just see your traits in everyone. You're like,
yeah. But that's the thing,
why you annoyed
because
me.
we create every single person in our lives because they're a mirror, and our children are our biggest mirrors as well. And that's why we're so triggered by everything that they do. Because
I told one of my members, someone gave his name, but I told one of my members, I was like speaking to him, I was like, I'm going to be honest with you, the reason, when I first learned I hated you, I wanted you to leave the gym because you were doing my head in, and I'm so grateful you didn't, because now I realise that all you are is the reflection of the things that I hated in myself. And the minute I started this ayahuasca journey and this DMT and the psychedelics and etc., and going into this deep realm, I healed that trauma, and all of a sudden I love the guy. And I just think to myself, I go, God, it's almost like you're empathetic towards him. You don't give him, I love that saying, was Joe said to you, don't give sympathy, give empathy. Or something other, someone.
No, it's not empathy. It's
compassion.
Compassion.
But someone said that, and I said, I say empathy
Not
over
sympathy, compassion,
I say empathy over sympathy. I'll be empathetic to how you currently are, and I know how painful your experience is right now because I've been there. But I'm not going to give you sympathy, because sympathy is me feeding into what you want,
and you're never going to grow if you think where you're at is acceptable and you're justified in feeling like that. You're never going to move out of that space. You know, it's only in that challenge of, there's more to you than this.
Do you think it's ironic that my first gym was called Evolve and my second gym is called Primal?
Yeah.
And the evolution of me going back to the primal ways. I've noticed this. I picked a logo, like Capel, but the stance of like going backward, the stepping in from the evolution of man, you know that. But as I always go to myself, it's not a coincidence that I've went down this journey.
Yeah.
Like, and you come to Primal, you're not getting the average gym experience. You're not going to be just given the deadlift through. You're going to be picked apart and built back up again, you know. And a lot of people can't handle it. But it's funny how the majority of the members that are there embrace it almost. Like it's like they've grown because of it.
Yeah.
We're here to grow. And I think actually exercise is used as a distraction to stop us from mentally and emotionally growing. I've actually stopped using spiritual. I'm now going, it's physical, mental and emotional. Because the emotional side, I think everyone can work in with emotion. I think you say spiritual to people, it's like Homer into the head, you know.
Yeah.
But if you say emotional,
Yeah.
people may feel uncomfortable, but they understand what emotion is.
Yeah.
And you can maybe get through to so, and I think that's the key to coaching for me. It's like trying to articulate yourself in a way that resonates with the person you're trying to talk to, not feed your own ego about how much amazing I am. Look
where
at
they're
that.
at,
Yeah, it's trying to meet people.
But that's again a massive thing, and I was just talking to the girls here before about it. There's this huge spiritual ego out there at the minute, where people have to be the best at their game and so much better than everyone else. I know more than you, and that's not what it's about. Like, and that's totally not what it's about at all.
This is what the journey's taught me. It's like I can be a leech on someone who's harming. I can suck their energy. I can go to them, I need your energy, and I go, that's what, it's almost like you can use them, like Peter Kelly. Peter Kelly to me is a legend of a man. Why did I fucking think I phoned him when we had that, like, I had an emotional breakdown and I subconsciously phoned Peter? Why?
But it's just people in that real grounded energy where you know that you can trust their very soul,
I think that is what society is missing.
Yeah.
That ability to surrender, to trust, and be and like, I understand what vulnerability is now.
Yeah.
That was my biggest resistance. The ego in me, like, and that ego was defense mechanism. So I had to be.
And it's survival, because it kept you alive your whole life.
But people don't understand that. People can't. That again, that's bless and release does not bring you peace. I blessed and released that guy who was so defensive and so because I needed to be that guy, because I couldn't cope. The world was just too big a bad place for me, and I needed to control everything.
Yeah.
But letting go of control and surrendering to what is. It sounds woo-woo, but it's the most liberating experience, and everything happens for you.
Yeah.
And that removes you from that victim story, doesn't it? Like,
and once you let go of the control, things just start falling into place for you. There's no effort, there's no work. It's just like your path aligns in front of you.
Do you think that surrendering is part of the biodecoding? Do you think biodecoding is part of surrendering to what is?
It helps you understand why you're acting in certain ways, and then you try and stop acting in those ways, because then you understand. But I still really, really find it difficult to just surrender, and I think that's one of the hardest parts.
But you're not going to get it every time. Like I find myself getting better at recognizing I need to let go of this. I just need to accept what is.
Yeah.
But then there's sometimes, like, when you go nuts at me and break up with me or something after being funny, and I go, no, I'm not surrendering to this. I'll fight for this one so well. But but it's like for most of the time you have to. You find that when you let go of control, whatever happens, maybe 6 weeks down the line, it's like doing DMT and you have a really bad experience, but then 4 weeks later you just go, That's why.
Yeah.
It's like you didn't have a choice, but it was a really and you're so focused, like a bad trip.
Yeah.
Loads of people who've done acid can understand mushrooms can do a bad trip, but only when you're starting going into that community where we're in, and you get that people have a deeper understanding. Go, no, but that was a message.
Yeah.
You've associated it with a fucking bad trip, but what you didn't.
And the subconscious speaks in symbols, and this is what's really the hard part to grasp as well. Like, what you see isn't exactly what it is, and once you start to actually decipher what the message is, it's something completely different. Like, one of the girls in Biodecoding was having this recurring dream, and it was this old man, and she was caring for him in a nursing home, and she kept going to him, and he was like, I'm going to eat your skin, and every time it kept going and it kept getting worse. But then in the revelation, whenever it was all like the symbology was decoded, it was all about her stepping out of her old life and into a new life and discarding. I can't even remember what the ins and outs, but there's some of the girls down the course that are just brilliant at being able to pick up on symbology, and then it just instantly clicks, and it's like, holy shit, but it's just the darkness isn't always dark. It's just because we perceive it as darkness,
That's my realm. I know that with the work I do, it won't be love and light. And actually, the star chart said that. From the start, I've always said that. Like, I live in the darkness. I've always lived in that dark. I love the darkness. Yeah. It's like.
But there has to be darkness. There has to be, because without darkness there can't be light. There has to be the duality.
I embrace the darkness now. I think I've lived in darkness so much that I wanted that, but I lived in it. I chose to block the light out, and now that I'm bringing the light in, and I'm starting to step into it, I go like. The dark doesn't fear me anymore because I know I can get back into the light, and it's like, so I'm more willing to dive into the darkest of dark places, knowing that I'm going to bring in that drag. You can't have a shadow without light.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well, because we all have our shadow and we all have that side we want to keep hidden, but it's actually in bringing that into the light.
Integrating it
Yeah.
into who you... It's acknowledging that you are duality. You're not...
And it's understanding that you push that side away for survival. There was a purpose, there was a reason why that needed to happen, and now you're further down the line, you can start opening up and delving in and releasing, shining light on it. Like I did shamanic journeying, and I was brought into my shadow, and a lot of it was projected on me as a child, and hated my body and hated my legs, and part of my bringing the shadow into light was having to get my legs out, so that it's simple things like that. But
isn't it mad how, you hated your body, but I fucking, I look at you going what? I love your body. I just think it's the most perfect body ever. In every way, shape or form, whether it's skinny or there's weight on you, I don't care. I just love your physique and your shape. But you hate it. Or you did hate it.
Yeah, learning to love it.
It's mad how,
it's just internal programming.
That's what I'm saying, but how I can see something and think it's absolute perfection, and you can see it and pick it out, and we all do the same ourselves. And I always use that example, if I stand you in front of 10,000 of the opposite sex, the way you are naked, there's going to be a percentage love you, a percentage hate you, and a percentage not give a fuck.
But it's not even about what other people think. It's about how you feel about yourself.
But as I was going to say, then the next time I train you for 2 years perfectly and you're the most amazing shape in the world, there's still going to be a percentage hate you, love you, and don't think. But what's different is how you perceive yourself. Yeah. You're going to have, if you're standing there with a body that you're proud of, you're going to have so much more confidence standing there because you're not focusing on what you think everyone else thinks. And it's that internal program that you don't. But it's your body for a reason. You picked your body. You chose this body. You chose this life. So instead of hating it, understand it as a lesson. I'm getting this revelation as I talk. It's like, holy fuck, that makes total sense. If you can actually start understanding that the journey you're currently at is because you've picked it and because it's to serve a purpose. And once you heal that purpose, the body will change.
Yeah. But even the whole thing with the body is about self-love. And the more you actually love yourself, the more you want to look after yourself, because someone you really love, you're not going to treat them like shit. But you treat your body like shit because it's just you eat the junk food, you sit up all night, but that's a deep-rooted not loving who you are.
Isn't it funny how working as a coach, the reason why I call myself the Irish Brad Pitt for the crack is because of the amount of people I've coached, that I hear so many, thousands of people, I hate my body, I hate my hips. And I look and but I realised I was like that, and I was like, you know what? That's a word, that's a sentence, that's a phrase, that's a statement that I am repeating over and over until it becomes a habitual thought. Yeah. So that's why when people say, everyone in the gym knows that I call myself the Irish Brad Pitt, but it's because it's there's 7 billion people apparently in this world, potentially 7 billion can hate you. Why be one of those people? Why not be the person that, even if it's jokingly said, it's still a positive affirmation that's going to bring you closer to the person you want to become?
Yeah.
But we're so worried about what other people think. People that will have no relevance on our life.
Again, it's deep internal programming. It's what we've always been taught. It's that comparison that's made of us when we're children. We're compared to other people. It's deep.
Even our parents do that.
Yeah.
Why aren't you more like your brother? Why aren't you more like your sister?
Yeah.
Do you know? That phrase has been passed on generationally.
Yeah.
Do you know? And you think about, and that's I think maybe bigger families get off. I look at it, so 9 families. You become more resilient when you've got 9 or 8 siblings to compete with compared to 1 or 2. But that's when the programs I think run deeper.
Although even in bigger families you'll have the children that are maybe the doubles and carrying the programs, and maybe some children get it harder than others. And it's basically whatever programs you've chosen is what's gonna.
Do you think that's the ultimate ownership when you recognise that you are the creator and you have dictated everything that's happened in your life?
That was so painful. I think that's one of the hardest things, and to understand that I wasn't always the victim, even though I believed I was the victim all along.
Because you felt it doesn't mean it was true to you. It's a percent.
And once you start to understand what you believe about things and how you are processing things, it's like, oh fuck.
I like that word, understand. Someone said it to me, and I was like, it does. I know it's become a real cliche word, but it's when you can connect with self, and you see yourself as not the person we look upon, but the soul having the experience of the person.
And not the story that you constantly told yourself in your head, because it's just that repetitional thought that creates your reality, and it's once you can start changing that voice and what it's saying to you, and that's when you start changing what's happening in your reality.
It's the same things like, you look at society today and people say, I can't do this, can't do that, can't do that. I go, okay, meditate. I can't meditate.
Yeah.
You can't. What?
But I get that because I find it really hard at the start to meditate.
But what is meditation really?
I know, but that's why people think it is something that you have to do and you have to be focused, you have to concentrate. But people don't understand it's literally just letting go, you know.
But I mean, like, if you're gonna say, I don't have time, okay, here's my, put your phone down and stop scrolling Facebook.
But that's an addiction.
10 minutes,
again.
but 10 minutes. And just because people don't want to really discover what's underneath. We don't want to acknowledge, holy shit, your mom was right, your woman was right, fuck I am an asshole, fuck I wasn't.
But I also think it's deprogramming. There's something subliminally that really makes us avoid doing what's good for us. Even the wee group that I'm in at the minute, it's just every day you put some positive affirmation or how you're working towards building your dreams. And I can't remember where I was going with that now. What were we talking about?
Meditation.
Oh yeah, one of the girls had written in saying that like she hadn't been doing her yoga and she hadn't been doing her meditation, and just in the last few days she'd really focused on doing it again, and it's just the difference it makes in you and your body and settling everything inside yourself is massive, you know. But
I do believe a lot of people skip training, skip the diet, skip the meditation because it gives them something to berate themselves about. Because if you do it, you're going to improve, which means you're going to start seeing and feeling those changes, which means you have to start acknowledging, fuck, I was wrong about this. What else have I been wrong about? So on the subconscious level or the unconscious level, if you miss your training and you can justify, oh, the kid was sick, oh, the work was late, it keeps you where you're at and you don't have to go in, you don't have to discover who you are. Yeah. You can just remain as this avatar that you've created in your life to exist in this 3D realm and never actually discover your true potential. And as I try to tell guys that talk to them all the time, it's like, one day, you are going to die. And hopefully many years from now, you'll be surrounded by your loved ones. You're going to have time to contemplate. You will fucking meditate at that moment when you know you're talking about the last minutes of your life, the last hours of your life, days of your life, whatever. You're going to find deep reflective thoughts when it's too late.
Yeah.
And you've also got to then look at your children and go, what have I imprinted on them? Is it too late for me?
Again, like...
Or too late for them?
To me, that's kind of pushing the fear aspect of it.
No, it's the darkness.
Yeah, I know.
You're love and light, I'm not. I'm dark.
No, I know. But it's nearly like trying to scare people into doing the work.
No, it's not. It's not scaring people. It's getting the fuck... Are you going to die?
Yeah.
Right then. So it's not a lie. It's not a scare. It's the truth. But the thing is, we don't know when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
You could be dead tomorrow. I could be dead tomorrow. If we left... What do? Have I ever left on a fight without telling you I love you? Never. Because I don't know. If I meditate on death every day, I think about my death every day because...
Yeah, I don't fear death.
I don't fear it. But I meditate on it because I have that's the Buddhists. They do it. They accept that the death is the natural end of the cycle. Yeah. But this cycle will mean that Paul Murray, the Paul of the House Murray, not fucking common law, but Paul is not going to... Everything I've done... Everything, how people are going to talk, how my children are going to reminisce on me. My grand is still, that saying the 3 deaths. The first death is when you take your last breath, the second is when you go on the ground, the third is when your last name, your name spoken for the last time. My granda will not die for as long as I'm alive. So, you know, his impact he had on me has carried through 16 years where he's not here on this earth. I would like to know that I think that my words can have the same effect on my children, grandchildren. And I do think, people say, oh, it's fear. It's not fear. It's bringing the conscious awareness of that you're living in a fucking bubble if you think tomorrow is a given.
Yeah.
And you need to start learning that everything you tell yourself is reinforcing a story that you've told yourself over and over again. And it's holding you back. And one day it will be too late for you to do anything about it.
But I just think people really... start to wake up or get pushed towards it when they're just so sick of the situation they're in, of the repetitive cycles, of the constant same thing day in, day out. You know, there's the pain and the suffering that you're going through.
Suffering, there's no pain, it's suffering. Yeah. The pain is what you're avoiding.
Well, pain as in pain in their muscles and
joints.
Yeah.
You know, like, but that's suffering because it's all day. Yeah. It's all like, and I get, listen, fuck me, when it comes to chronic pain, I know. I tell you, I got my hyperplasia. But, you know, but that's again, like, I was talking to a guy who signed up today, and I was telling him, you know, do you remember a few weeks ago I sat down, I was like, and I got up and I was like, no pain. And it was that moment of realisation that I was like, it didn't hurt. And like, how many times did I brace for pain, through that? But that was a subconscious. That was repeated so many times that I was anticipating the pain. I was creating the pain on an emotional level, even though it didn't exist.
Yeah, but even like you were telling me, I can't do that because and I'm like, but there's only so far I can push you because you crack up. But like, I'm like, that's what you're telling yourself. That's not actually true.
But that's when you and I are good at that.
Yeah.
Like, we fall out. We have a volatile relationship, but we have an amazing loving relationship. 95% is great, but the 5%, we do poke the bear with each other continually. Like, we are.
But you have to, and that's, I was even remember Joe talking about something that happened in her life, and it's an uncomfortable situation and it's conflict, but she actually embraces them moments because that's where the growth happens as well.
Yeah, I think, like, there's nothing annoys me more or annoys you more when I kind of go. And and I know you're like, and you storm off in the fucking huff in your leg, and then you come back meekly, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because you've bitched out of your program, and you're just repeating that habitual thing you're trying to avoid, you're trying to leave behind. But I think the more you embrace that, the more you jump into the pool, the less fear the deep end holds. It's like we're jumping in deep end and we can do, and now and the deep end gets deeper.
Patterns,
The deep end gets deeper, and like it's like, so you get comfortable. It's a great way of analogy. Like, you go into a 6-foot pool, when you first do it, you're like, whoa, that's deep. But then after a 6-foot pool, it's a 10-foot pool, and then you've got 4 foot. You've been 6 foot there. You've only got 4 foot to explore, and that wee bit's frightening. But get there, I'm going to get back up, and then there's 12-foot pool, then there's a 20-foot pool, and there's someone like you and I, like, if I look at people that so far down there, they're probably jumping into the fucking bottom of the ocean. There's free divers, and we're just going, there's no way. But there's people that can't even jump in the paddling pool right now because it's so terrifying to dip their toes into it, because it's like, it is the fear of, where does this lead?
So that's the thing, people are more afraid of their power and what they can actually become. So they'd rather just stay small and stay where they are than actually experience their true purpose.
Isn't it funny how when you do these retreats, you will go with the 15, 16 strangers, and by the end of it, you're weeping in their arms for no fucking reason except you're hugging each other. I love that. You know that? That what they call cosmic hug? Oh my fucking God, that every time I'm crying to men, I'm going, I fucking love you, brother. But it's not like, it's proper. Like, it's
just taken away all of that.
The facade of bullshit society. It's as close to the spiritual beings that we are as you'll ever get.
But that's what I want to create. That's what I'm trying to create in opening. That's what I am creating. Even the experience today I had with the girl that was here earlier was just that deep connection.
Do you know the best way to describe it is? Using COVID as the example. We have been pigeonholed and isolated, and we've been made believe that this is dangerous and you can't do this, and so it's so that the majority don't want to go there because the government. I always said the government are like the abuser, and that we're like the abused child, and most of us will love our abusers because we see it on a really twisted level as the abuse as love. So most people don't want to badmouth the government or don't want to go against the government because you can't do that. But the rebellious child is always the one that fucking.
But it's also just really a terrifying thought for people, for something that has been their security blanket their whole life, to actually believe that it's all shit.
But it's not only that. It's like it's given a gun to a child almost. A child's not ready to hold a gun yet. Unless they're taught, like, all this power, here, you're powerful, take it back. You're like, whoa, I can't take this power. No. People are scared to hold their power. And then people who, I've got the confidence to speak. I just speak my mind, fuck is all. It's like, that's my attitude, always has been. But when you've got that power to do that, that intimidates people. I don't think people feel, I think a lot of people want to avoid that and don't want to, no. I just like to live in a wee bubble. Let's save up for 2 weeks in Benidorm, get drunk by the poolside and take photographs and tell everyone it's amazing.
But that's a huge thing as well as that repeated cycle of alcohol every weekend, and you're just living for that moment of freedom from this reality that you're living in. But all alcohol's doing as well is lowering your vibration and keeping you down in that place that you don't want to be. And
I feel so much better. I'm off the beer.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I really I enjoy my. It's like. Guys look at me and go, I enjoy my non-alcoholic Erdingers more than I enjoy an Erdinger. Like, I have one beer a weekend. just to remind me why not I don't like beer. But someone's like, I don't mind it, but straight away I'm like, no, give me my Erdinger non-alcoholic. I enjoy that more, or the Brewdog
But
stuff.
it's just that real false sense of happiness, you know, when you're drunk and you're like, whatever, and having the crack.
What is it? The spirit was called alcohol.
Alcohol, yeah.
And you're under the influence of spirits.
Because alcohol lowers your vibration, and whenever your vibration's so low, you're open to demonic entities.
Fuck,
to
how many
possess
times?
your body, and whenever you don't remember anything the next day, it's because you've been possessed by a demon who's like.
That's mad. Don't be mad.
But
even though, like, fuck,
and
vodka
they're called
was
spirits, yeah.
Vodka was my demon, and like the amount of times I
But
woke
you can
up.
see demons in people.
Yes.
You know, people are talking and muttering under their breath, you know.
And that the voice, that their face can, like, whiskey seems to be a big one in Ireland.
Yeah.
Whiskey seems to be in Scotland, a big one in Ireland, Scotland, and you can see some people become literally their facial expressions, their voice lowers octaves, and it's you get, like what I do, you get an uncomfortable. I don't want to be around this guy. That's the gut instinct again. You don't want to be around this person because
and violence that comes out as well, you know?
because you can feel it. But you sense it before it happens.
And then some people get that real nasty, horrible streak. It's just that real twisted, like.
And they live for it.
Yeah.
Isn't that mad?
Yeah.
So Biodecoding. Right, so Biodecoding. This is going to be part 2 because we didn't get the Biodecoding this time, really. So part 2 will be the Biodecoding. Okay. We'll leave it there. I think we'll leave it there. Okay.
Love you.